Okay, so let's just jump right in. Have you ever noticed that pretty much everything in our modern world, and I mean everything, is engineered to make you want more?
More money, right? You know that feeling? It's like the entire architecture of our world, the whole system, is built on this one single idea, that wanting things and getting them is what makes you happy. More status. We get this message hammered into us from day one, right? That wanting more and, yeah, more importantly, getting more is the only real path to a good life.
More followers, it just keeps going. But there was this philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer, who looked at this whole setup and he called it the most dangerous illusion in human existence. A pretty bold claim, right?
More experiences. Schopenhauer looked at all this and came to a conclusion that is just so backwards from how we're taught to think. He said, the happiest people, they don't want more. They actually, deliberately, as a kind of life practice, learn to want less.
So let's really dig into this addiction to more, because Schopenhauer didn't see it as a path to happiness at all. He saw it as a perfectly designed trap.
And to really get why it's a trap, we've got to pop the hood, you know? We need to look at the philosophical engine that's running in the background, the one that keeps us feeling constantly dissatisfied. Okay, now this brings us to his big central idea, something he called the will. And listen, this is not your personal willpower, like deciding to go to the gym. Think of it more like a fundamental cosmic force inside all of us that just wants. It's this blind, restless, never satisfied drive. It doesn't want things for smart reasons. It just wants anything. As soon as one desire gets fulfilled, bam, the will just latches onto the next thing, and the next.
And this is what leads directly to what he called the illusion of achievement. It's that simple, kind of brutal truth that we all know deep down, right? Getting the thing you want, it just doesn't bring that lasting happiness you were so sure it would. And this process, this is what locks us onto what he called the treadmill of willing. I mean, just look at this cycle, it's probably going to feel familiar. First, a new desire pops up. That creates a feeling of striving, of anxiety. Then you work hard, you get the thing, and what happens? You don't get permanent joy. You get a brief little hit of relief, which almost immediately gets replaced by boredom. And that feeling of emptiness, that what now, is what makes you start looking for the next desire to fill the void. And on it goes. This, for Schopenhauer, is the real source of all that chronic, low-grade suffering we feel.
Which brings us to his most famous metaphor. He said life, for most of us, is like a pendulum, just swinging endlessly between two states. On one side, you have the pain of desire, that anxiety, that frustration, the pain of not having. And then, when it swings to the other side, that's boredom, the emptiness, the hollowness you feel after you get what you wanted. He thought we spend our entire lives just swinging back and forth between these two, almost never resting in a place of genuine peace in the middle.
Now, I know this all sounds kind of bleak, but here's the thing. Schopenhauer wasn't just about pointing out the problem. He was actually super practical. He truly believed there were ways to find the off switch, to actually step off that treadmill and quiet that restless will. And he laid out 3 main ways to do it. The first one is through aesthetic experience. That feeling when you get totally lost in a piece of music or a beautiful painting or just being out in nature. For a moment, you just stop wanting. The second path is true compassion, where you feel someone else's pain so deeply that your own little ego kind of dissolves. But the third one, and this is the one that's most practical for our everyday lives, is the deliberate, conscious act of reducing desire itself. And that really brings us to the single most powerful, actionable takeaway from his entire philosophy, that true freedom isn't found in getting more, but in learning how to want less.
So how do you do that? Well, it all starts with this one simple but really profound question. Every single time a new desire pops into your head, whether it's for a new job, a new phone, a new relationship, whatever, you have to pause and ask yourself, what do I actually want here? Not the thing itself, but the feeling you think that thing is going to give you.
Because see, when you ask that question with total honesty, it just cuts right through the illusion. You start to see that the desire for that big promotion, it's not really about the fancy title. It's about a deeper need for, say, security or recognition. And once you see what's really missing, you can address that need directly, without having to get back on the treadmill to chase after some object.
And that right there is the absolute core of it. The problem was never that you didn't have enough stuff. The problem was the wanting itself. That feeling of wanting is the source of the suffering. So letting go of a desire, That's not deprivation. It's not a loss. It's like stepping out of a prison cell. It is, in a single word, freedom.
This all leads to a really radical, kind of courageous idea. The idea that this present moment, right now, just as it is enough. It's sufficient. It's not perfect. It's not ideal. Nobody's saying that. But it's complete. That peace you're chasing with that next achievement, it's actually available to you right now, before you get it. The desire itself has been hiding it from you, not leading you toward it.
So the big takeaway here isn't that Schopenhauer was some grumpy pessimist. Not at all. He was just a really precise observer of how our minds work. He saw that the truly happy people, they weren't the ones who had the most stuff or the most achievements. They were the ones who understood this mechanism of desire so well that they could actually choose to step outside of it. And that kind of brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. Our entire culture is designed from the ground up to keep you on this treadmill, to keep you running after the next thing. So the question for you is, honestly, are you on it right now without even knowing it? Because the choice to step off, well, that starts with just seeing the treadmill for what it is.